welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am bringing you along on my adventure. So one of the books that I have to read for March for my Rotating Decks TBR game is a Choose Your Own Adventure book, and so I had decided on Choose Your Own Adventure number 24, which is Terror on the Titanic. So this one says choose from 19 endings, and it's by Jim Wallace. And on the back of the Choose Your Own Adventure books, there's a little map, so it can tell you where the adventure will lead you. So some of them are kind of short and some of them are kind of long. So I thought it might be interesting to do a read along with me. So basically my thought is that I am going to read the book as I get to the places where decisions need to be made. I will put up a poll on Instagram stories, just kind of a vague poll, and see what the poll results will be, and then take that result and apply it to my decision for this story and see where the poll decisions take me. And so that will be my experience for this story. So I am going to switch over to audio only, so you'll just see a standing picture while I am reading the story, and then I will let you know where I'm putting the polls in, what the poll decisions are, and then continue the story. And then at the end of this project, I will be back with you to share my thoughts and things like that. So yeah, I'm going to switch over to audio only right now, and I'll be back with you at the end. Hello, everyone. Okay, we are going to start on our reading of Terror on the Titanic by Jim Wallace. And so let's get started. So I am on page 1. You stand on the deck of the RMS Titanic, the brand new White Star ocean liner. She's the biggest, most luxurious ship in the world, and she's on her first voyage across the ocean from Southampton, England to New York City. The date is April 10, 1912. The ship has just pulled away from Southampton Quay and is moving into the River Test. A huge crowd walks along the quay, following the great ship's progress down the narrow river channel. The Titanic glides by the New York, a smaller ocean liner moored at the side of the river. You watch as the smaller ship is sucked towards the Titanic. Bang, bang, bang. You hear several loud reports, like gunshots. Looking down, you see the ropes holding the moored ship arc high into the air. They must have snapped. The New York begins to swing away from her mooring directly towards the Titanic. You gasp and grab the railing, expecting a shuddering impact. As you watch, the Titanic slows to a drifting stop, and the bow of the New York swings past her port side. A collision is narrowly avoided. That was a close one, says a tall, gaunt man standing next to you. He has a pale, lined face with a thin, grim mouth. He speaks with a lilting Scottish accent. It's a bad way to begin a maiden voyage, a bad omen. So the bottom of the page here says, turn to the next page. Bad omen, pah, says the middle-aged Englishman standing nearby. A watch chain hangs from the brocade waistcoat buttoned tightly around his stout middle. He sports great gray mutton chop whiskers. There's nothing to fear. The technical journals I've read say she's unsinkable. She's a wonder ship. Aye, says the tall man knowingly. She is indeed a wonder ship, a mighty ship, but the ocean is mightier still. Many a mighty ship has kissed the bottom of the sea. With that, the man turns and walks slowly away. Don't listen to him, says the Englishman. This ship is beautifully engineered. I tell you, she can't sink. Turn to the next page. She is beautiful and enormous, you say, gazing up admiringly. The Titanic is 900 feet long and has 4 huge funnels. Her hull is painted a shiny black, and her deck superstructure is white. Her yellow funnels with black tips rise 60 feet above her top deck. It does seem unbelievable that such a massive ship could sink to the bottom of the ocean. Still, the Scotsman comment chilled you. Oh, you're an American, says the Englishman. He extends his hand. The name is Sights. Were you on holiday in England? No, you say, shaking his hand. I've been in London for the past months, studying classical piano. A classical pianist, eh? Says Mr. Stites. So you've been in England alone, then? No, my father was with me. He has an import-export business. He had to stay in London to meet a client. I'm returning to New York with his partner. Import-export business, you say? Would the name of your father's partner be Andrew Temkin? Asks Mr. Sykes. You nod. Yes, I met the chap just before we boarded. He told me he bought himself a black Rolls-Royce. Yes, it's on board. He's taking it back to New York, you say. You know, you should meet my daughter Jessica, says Mr. Stites. She's just your age and a very agreeable lass. I'm sure the two of you will get along famously. She had a go-round with the violin for a time, but science is her wicket. That's where the future's headed, you know. She'll be good company for the voyage. Mr. Stites' mention of Andrew gets you thinking about him and the gold Buddha statues that he and your father imported from Siam. The box containing the statues arrived at the office in London while your father was out. Andrew was excited but seemed hesitant to open it in your presence. He asked you to run an errand. When you came back, your father had returned, and he and Andrew were examining the two statues, each about a foot high. They seemed disappointed. The workmanship was poor. Worse, the statues weren't solid gold, but made of lead painted with gold leaf. Your father grew angry and vowed he'd get even with the Siamese trader who had cheated him. Andrew supported your father and agreed the traitor was a scoundrel. Something about his manner made you suspicious. In contrast to your father's genuine rage, Andrew's reaction seemed mild. You don't trust him, and you aren't happy to be sharing this transatlantic journey with him. Turn to page 7. Over the next few days, you and Jessica Stites explore the ship. It's like an immense, fancy floating hotel. There's a Turkish bath, a swimming pool, a squash court, a gymnasium, a barber shop, a hospital, a post office, and several restaurants and cafes. Late Sunday evening, about 11:30, you and Jessica are in the first-class lounge on A deck. You've been there for a couple of hours playing cards. Abruptly, Jessica puts her cards down. I'm bored playing gin rummy, she folds her arms and pouts. Jessica is bright and generally agreeable, but you realize she's a little spoiled. That game was getting boring, especially because you kept winning. Let's go out on deck and see what's going on up forward, you suggest. Same ocean up there that's back here, she answers, still wearing that pouty look. Then how about the Marconi room where the radio transmitter is, you ask. I know one of the men who operates the radio there. Wait till you see it. It's huge. That does perk her interest. I know Morse code. Did you know that? My father bet I couldn't learn it, and I did. Turn to the next page. The Marconi room, the radio shack, is up forward on the port, or left, side of the ship. To get there, you walk along the deck to the other end of the ship. You and Jessica shiver in the Arctic air. Overhead, the night sky blazes with stars. Below, the ocean is glassy smooth. You're amazed at how calm the water is. There's not a ripple. Yesterday afternoon, Harold, one of the two radio operators, met you as he was leaving the shack. He invited you to drop by any time. Without knocking, you open the door and go in, Jessica behind you. A smell of hot electrical insulation hangs in the air. A man is on duty, but it's not Harold. Mind if we watch a minute, you ask. The operator doesn't hear you, or if he does, he's too busy to reply. He's wearing earphones and staring intently at a stack of papers. A blue spark flashes between the contacts of the radio telegraph key he's tapping with his index finger. You're entranced by the rhythmic Morse code and the sparkling light. The message sounds important, but you can't understand it. Jessica does, though. You watch her concentrate on the pulsing beeps as you both stand nervously just inside the door. Turn to page 10. Suddenly, an incoming signal blares from the earphones so loudly you hear it across the room. The operator tears the earphones from his head and smacks the stack of paper. With an exasperated look, he raps back a message. He spots you and says, "Not now, too busy, later, out please." You both nod and duck out the door. Jessica grabs your arm. That was weird. Those are private messages he was sending. Maybe to a land station for relaying. Messages like, "Meet you Wednesday at noon at the Waldorf Astoria." Then a signal came in. He got flustered and told the guy to shut up and keep the air clear. Another ship must be nearby. What was the other ship saying, you ask? I couldn't get the first part. Something like stopped, surrounded by ice, Jessica says. Ice? Icebergs, you say. Maybe we're coming into an ice field. Let's go out on deck. We may be able to spot some. Icebergs? I'm cold enough already. I'd rather go visit my friend, the chief baker, Jessica says. He's baking bread right now. Think of it, hot, fresh bread. Oh, come on, be a good sport. Let's see if we can spot a few icebergs, then we'll warm up at the baker's, you say. Jessica reluctantly agrees. I'll get the binoculars and meet you out on the promenade deck, you add. Turn to page 16. You zip down the stairs to the staterooms you're sharing with Andrew. It's on B deck, a couple of decks below on the port side. As you reach your cabin door, you hear a loud voice inside. Safest there, I tell you. No one will think of a car's frame. The voice stops short as you knock a couple of times and enter. Andrew is talking to a dark-haired man. They both look at you sharply. Sorry, just want to get these, you say. You grab the binoculars from the table and leave. As soon as you're outside, you grimace with disgust. The man is Oscar Kilpatrick, a friend of Andrew's. He got on the Titanic at Queenstown, Ireland on Thursday afternoon. You don't like him. When he boarded, he greeted Andrew but ignored your offer to shake his hand. Turn to page 18. You're still angry about the brush-off. That and the man's arrogant, patronizing manner. You have as little trust in Oscar as you do in Andrew. You don't understand why your father chose Andrew as a partner. Sure, he's sharp in business, a real smooth operator, but that's the problem. He's a little too sharp. You stop walking and think, what's in the frame of Andrew's car? Safe from what? Andrew's rolls is in forward hold number 2, way down on G deck near the bow. You're headed that way. So we've made it to our first choice point. So the choices are go meet Jessica with the binoculars or postpone meeting Jessica to explore. So I'm going to go ahead and put up a poll on Instagram, and I will be back with you once that poll has completed to let you know what the choice was, and we'll continue from there. Okay, we are back with the results of the poll. I will pop up a picture here so that you can see. But the winner of the poll was go to meet Jessica with the binoculars. So the instructions say to go to page 12. You decide to let the mystery in Andrew's car go for the moment. No one can leave the ship until it docks in New York in a couple days, so it can wait. Jessica is squatting behind the promenade deck railing, where it curves around the forward section of the ship on the starboard side. You stand under the bridge with a clear view of the crow's nest, and beyond it, the bow. You hand her the binoculars. Go on to the next page. It's beastly cold, she chatters after a couple of minutes. I can't see any more with these than I can without them. Just smooth black sea. I'm turning in. She hands the binoculars to you and leaves. For a couple of minutes, you sweep the horizon in front of the Titanic. Just as Jessica said, there's nothing but darkness. The stars look brighter through the binoculars, though. The great bronze capstans near the bow glint under the stars. You train your gaze on the 2 lookouts more than 30 feet above you in the crow's nest. Funny, they don't have binoculars. You sweep the horizon another time. You catch a point of light that shimmers faintly. It's duller than starlight. Maybe it's a reflection? Turn to page 15. You strain to see. It's massive, filling the view of your binoculars, but fixed, so it can't be another sea craft. It glows eerily against the dark sea. The starlight bounces off its reflective edges so that it looks as lit up as a small city in the distance. It's an iceberg. Wow, you gasp. The lookouts are staring right in its direction, but they can't see it without binoculars. You keep watching as the iceberg gets bigger. Do you dare run up to the bridge where no passengers are allowed and warn the officer on duty? Or should you tip off the lookouts and let them deal with it? Maybe you should wait a little until it can be seen more clearly. So we are at our next choice point. So there are 3 choices on this one. The first choice is to call to the lookouts. The second choice is to take time to make sure it's an iceberg before going for help. And the third choice is to go directly to the bridge. So I will post another poll and be back with you once we have the results of that poll. Hello everyone. Okay, we are here with the results of our second poll, and I will put a picture up here so you can see what the result was. But the answer is going to be call to the lookouts, because that's what I use the magnifying glass for. So let's continue on our journey. It says turn to page 11. "Ahoy, crow's nest!" You cry your loudest. You wonder if ahoy is the right word. You shout a couple of times. The rushing air muffles your voice. They can't hear you shouting from the promenade deck. You rush down 2 decks to get to the well deck, and then run forward till you're almost underneath the crow's nest mast. It looms far above you. "Iceberg! Iceberg!" you scream up at them. At your shout, one lookout peers intently into the distance, then clangs the warning bell 3 times and speaks urgently into a telephone. It seems like an hour goes by. Nothing happens. You can't feel the slightest change in the rhythm of the Titanic's engines or sense the deck move under your feet the way it should when the ship changes course. And because you're down in the forward well deck area, with the forecastle blocking your view, you can't see the iceberg either. Just as you sense the turning of the bow under your feet, a shower of ice cascades over the starboard well deck rail. One of the huge pieces brushes you, and it slides with a thump into the stairway you just came down. Turn to page 19. The Titanic limps at half speed into New York 2 days late. Damage below the starboard waterline has kept all its pumps working continuously. Hull plates on 3 of the forward watertight compartments are badly smashed by the brush with the iceberg. Your steward saves a great chunk of ice in the ship's refrigerated storage for you. You show it to the New York Times reporter after the Titanic docks. You and your ice end up in a front-page picture. The end. So we rewrote history. As you can see, it's a couple days later. The polls did take a little bit more time to put this together, so I am wearing something a little bit different. But that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. So here is the book again. It's Terror on the Titanic. I will probably read this a couple more times at least to see what other endings I can get, but I really enjoyed this. As you know, if you've watched my channel, I do enjoy reading things that are set on Titanic, and obviously this is no different. But I'm interested to see what other kinds of outcomes we can get, especially the ones that rewrite history like the one that we got. So yeah, I enjoyed that. I'm thinking that maybe I'll do one of these Choose Your Own Adventure books once a month. I'm not the greatest storyteller, obviously, but I think it's a lot of fun to put up polls and have you guys interact with the story as I go through it. Of course, I could just do a random generator or just pick whichever choice I want, but I think having that interactive experience is really fun. So if you'd like to see more of these read-alongs in the future, definitely let me know down in the comments below. I think the probably fastest way to get this done would be to do a live and then have you guys vote in real time, but I'm kind of weary about doing lives on my channel. But if that's what you want, I would be open to considering it. Or maybe doing a live in either my Discord or the Mystery Madness Discord. We can do a voice chat live and just go through that. But I think the logistics of recording the read-along or the read-through in the Discord chat is going to be a little bit more cumbersome, just with the screen recording and everything like that. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this down in the comments below. Would you like to see other read-alongs or read-throughs of these Choose Your Own Adventure books? I do have several of them, and we would probably just go through like I did here until we get to our first ending. And yeah, if you're interested in seeing what other endings you can get in Terror on the Titanic, definitely pick up this book. It is one that is currently available. I did pick this one up just a couple months ago at my local Barnes & Noble. So yes, let me know down in the comments below if you'd like to see more of these in the future and what you thought of our adventure. If nothing else, you would just like to let me know that you were here. If you could like this video and leave me an ice cube emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out, and that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.